record. And then if more people join us, then that is great. If not, we will practice what we have learned, maybe learn something else or learn something old in a new way. That's kind of what we do with Tai Chi. Start off by opening and closing our hands, pumping our arms, just whatever you need to do to get your body warm up. But walking around just for a few minutes kind of gets that blood flowing and get you warmed up. You'll know if I get warm, I'll take off my jacket, but it takes a whole lot for me to get warm. When it's cold outside, it is cold in this room right here. Something about the air, it just doesn't work in this room as well. But that's okay. I have a body that works and my heart's up pumping and getting me warmed up. So Gwen, I'm so glad to see you having both classes. Are you getting something different from both of them?
I am. I really
Good.
am.
Mr.
Refreshing.
Ken, I started an advanced class on Fridays for the people who have been doing the class for a while and kind of want to go into it in a different direction and in a different pace. And so Gwen is coming to both classes. So I'm excited about that. All right, let's start with our warm-ups. Get our feet shoulder width apart. Nice stable stance, good posture, like that string that pulls up and down. No tension in our shoulders. Oh, I've been holding a lot of tension in my neck, and I tell you what, it is suffering. And I think it came from yesterday driving in the rain. And I think I just had my body really tense because I'm always nervous about hydroplaning. And so sometimes we can't help things like that. I mean, the worry of hydroplaning should make us a little tense, right? Because it's scary, dangerous. Driving can be dangerous. And so my neck is a little sore today from holding it stiff. But hey, I know why, and maybe next time I'll try to pay a little bit better attention to holding that tension. But letting that tension go and breathing at our own pace as we go through our movements, starting with our neck. Bring our hands up, palms down, turn and pull them towards our chin and chest. Push away from our bodies and follow those hands all the way down. Inhale up. And exhale at your own pace, just reminding yourself not to hold your breath. Other neck exercise starts out that same way. We drop one hand to our hip and follow the other as we look towards that shoulder. Oh, that feels really good to me with my sore neck. Make sure you breathe in as you move. Still thinking slow, smooth, and continuous. Which is one of our principles of movement. So even in our warm-ups, we practice our principle. I want you to keep in mind something with this movement. When I'm sure you've done other exercise programs where you looked over your shoulder or you look to the side to warm up and stretch your neck. That is essentially the exercise that we do in this neck Tai Chi warm up. Same thing with chin to chest. We've probably done that in an exercise program before. And we don't do this in Tai Chi, but another one you do in other exercise programs is ear towards your shoulder. So you lean that head over. I'll be doing this a lot today. Bringing that head up and slowly leaning that head, just allowing gravity to stretch the neck muscle. So those are essential moves for stretching our neck muscles. The hand movements that we add to it in Tai Chi make it Tai Chi. So the hands where we here, push, that didn't have anything to do with my neck. It's only when I follow those hands down that it stretches the back of my neck. Now, some people, I don't know why I don't like this movement. It doesn't feel good to me. But some people, when they pull their hands back, they tuck their chin in, like, and then push it out as you push your hands. I don't know why, but that movement does not feel good on my neck. And, some movements aren't going to work for you, but that is another way to engage that neck, stretch, push it, and then come down. So those are, that's what we're doing here is our neck, but the hands make it Tai Chi. That hand movement where we come in, when you bring those hands in, if you think pull, and then whenever you turn your hands and you think push, then you're engaging that gentle resistance principle of our Tai Chi. Do you have to think push and pull? No. Can you just bring your hands in, turn them, and take your hands out without any kind of resistance or any kind of muscle use there? Absolutely. But those are ways that you can make that movement more or different to engage more or less muscles. So it's completely up to you what you do with that movement. But essentially, it is for our neck. And essentially, it's chin to chest. And essentially, it's look over to the side, to the front, and to the other side. Those are the base movements that do stretch and warm up your neck, help with the flexibility of your neck muscle. I always think about safe driving because I'm able to look over into that other lane, look behind me to make sure that I'm not missing anything with my mirrors. So add the hands, we got Tai Chi. Just do the neck movements and you're stretching your neck muscles. So you can do that anytime if your neck's maybe feeling a little bit stiff.
And the interesting thing to this, Jennifer, is when we first started the class, when I first started learning Tai Chi, the instructor told us to take our chin in, and then when we release, to push it out. And it was so very uncomfortable. It was really, really uncomfortable for me. So I stopped doing it because I just didn't like the feel of it. So you're right. It makes a difference to some. Some is just not comfortable to do.
Thank you for saying that because I always think, "Ooh, I'm skipping that," but I just can't make it work for me. And so, one thing Tai Chi teaches us is to listen to our bodies and have that body awareness so that we can take care of ourselves and acknowledging that all bodies are different. So, thank you for sharing. You are not alone in that. All right, so that one's for our necks. Shoulders. Hands are to our side and we roll our shoulders forward first. Small circles. The goal is about the size of a quarter. My quarter is always a $50. And roll back. Again, small circles. It just feels good to go a little bit bigger. And it really does feel like a massage that you give yourself. You feel it in your shoulders, but also your back muscle as you really roll back. So all these stretches are just to help make our bodies more flexible. Anytime our bodies are more flexible, it helps improve our mobility. And being flexible in our joints reduces tension. So tension causes pain. That's why I'm always talking about being aware of tension and letting it go so that you don't have pain. Other one for our shoulder. Bring those hands up and push those hands down. And you see I'm using that language of push and pull up or come up and push down. That's adding to that gentle resistance. I like to breathe as I do that movement. Inhale up and exhale as I push down. And you're in control of how much you push and pull. Next is for our spine. We grab our ball and one hand pushes down and the other comes and pushes up, keeping that soft bend in your elbows so that you have open joints for that energy to flow. And switch, stretching that spine. Come back to our ball and switch. So it's important to keep that soft bend and really think about the stretch of your spine and not do this, because you start going into stretching your arms, your spine will stretch a little bit just by the nature of the movement, but your focus kind of switches when you extend your arms completely. So that soft bend and focus on the spinal stretch. And I think there's a little bit of a learning curve to it. I think we've all kind of grown up doing that big stretch like that when you get up and out of the bed in the morning, and just to have a nice stretch. So this is a little bit different than what we're used to. But for my neck being sore and everything is connected, I can really feel this stretch even in my neck. Which makes sense because our spine is in our neck, right? All right, now we have our ball. We're going to take it side to side, just a short little trip. The hand on top tells us the direction we're going. Take your time switching your hands and take your time going to the other side. It's this movement that's like our waving hands in clouds. And I remember when I first started feeling like I was stuck on this ball. And when I go to the side and it's time to switch, I'm like this, like kind of stuck, like, I don't know what I'm doing. But instead of, just think, switch. So you're switching your hands, come across, switch. And that may make it easier than, I think some instructors will say, like, turn your ball. And so you get caught in that circle. So switch, and you're still in a circular motion. Also remembering that your hand on top is the direction that you're going. If you were to go in the opposite direction, you close off yourself, which isn't very Tai Chi of us. So when we go to the direction of the hand on top, see, it opens us up. So that's kind of the vibe we go for in Tai Chi. So we're not closing off, we're opening. Now we're to our lower body. First, down to our hips. This is when we start shifting and transferring weight. So let's shift weight to one leg, place our heel forward, our hands go back, pause in the middle, and then toe back, hands forward. You don't have to pause in the middle. I just like it as kind of a regroup. It's a little bit different to hold your weight on that stabilizer leg when your leg is back compared to when your leg is forward. So pausing in the middle kind of prepares you for that switch. That stable leg, it works hard that whole time to hold our weight. And so this is introduction to our Tai Chi movements, where we will be shifting weight holding our weight on one leg as we do something with the other one. And we want our muscles strong enough to be able to do that. And we get them there definitely by holding weight on one leg. Especially as we move into our advanced movements, there's a lot more of the weight shifting and holding weight on one leg. And so I don't know if we'll get there today, but when we get there, we'll talk more about that. Next, we'll shift our weight to side. Our hands are stacked and they go in the direction of the weight shift. Remember, don't keep tension in your shoulders. Shift the weight, and once that weight is shifted and you feel safe, tap that foot out and bring it back. Switch your hands, shift, lift and tap. Shift, lift and tap. Side to side, keeping our upright posture, no tension in our shoulders. And every now and again, make sure you breathe it. I catch myself holding my breath. When I get busy, I'm moving my body. I'll be holding my breath. So that's over and over why I say Tai Chi teaches us body awareness. Because it's like I'm constantly checking my posture, constantly checking for tension, making sure I'm breathing. Just throughout my day, no matter what I'm doing, I'm aware of what my body is doing. And I promise y'all, I would not be that way without Tai Chi. Tai Chi has taught me so much about my body structure and how I can best support it. One of the biggest changes I've made with like being a teacher, being a presenter. Used to, I would sit like this and have my hip popped, and I rest my foot right here on my shin. And that's how I would stand whenever I would teach. It was just cool and comfortable to me. But what happens is it puts a lot of pressure on your hip to hold your hip popped out like that. So I'm a lot more conscious about keeping those feet shoulder width apart with that nice soft bend. And that didn't put unnecessary pressure on my hips at all, holding them right over top of my legs. So that's definitely a change that I've made. All right, knees, loose fist, shift, lift, tap and punch, and you're in control of how high you lift that foot. Challenge yourself however you need to in that movement. Appreciate the slow, smooth and continuous movement there, and appreciate the challenge of your stabilizer leg to hold it. It takes a lot of concentration to place that foot out there. It takes a lot of balance to be able to lift that foot a little higher off the ground. So I encourage you to challenge yourself, and sometimes it might mean you got to have something nearby, a chair, a table, or a wall to fall onto if you lose your balance. Because when we challenge ourselves, sometimes that means that we lose our balance. Now let's step out forward. Small step. Both feet stay flat on the floor as I shift and punch. Bring it back, feet side by side. Shift, step, shift and punch. Keeping my body upright even though I'm shifting weight forward. There's that tendency to want to lean. Resist that tendency, keep your body upright. So I'll turn to the side, show you upright, even though I'm shifting weight. And here's what it looks like when I lean. See, when I start leaning, I feel gravity wanting me to fall over. So I stay upright as I shift the weight. Remember how I talked to you about playing around with the feet space? Oh, here's Sharita. I wondered where she was. Playing around with the space of your step. So you may feel a little more comfortable in a smaller step than a little bit larger. It's a small step regardless, but you may be more here versus here. Tiny little bit of a difference can make a huge difference for the way it feels for you to shift back, to be able to keep a soft bend in both legs. If you have a knee that likes to lock up, you may like to go a little bit wider. I'm not stepped up very far at all. See, it's kind of hard to tell because the angle on this camera is weird, but my feet are pretty close to being in the same plane. This foot's just a tiny bit forward, but that may feel better for you. So feel free to play around with the foot placement and the amount of space so that you feel comfortable as you transition weight forward and back. So in that movement, we have a lot of practice. Shift to the side, step, now shift forward, now shift back, side to side. Shift, step, shift, shift back, step, shift. So we're shifting side to side, we're shifting front and back. So that's a really good practice for practicing using our leg muscles in terms of making them stable and strong, and gets us ready for Tai Chi. But even if we never do our Tai Chi, this movement, shifting weight side to side, shifting weight front and back, that's where magic happens in making help keeping us from falling. All right, next is our ankle. So we do shift our weight and heel toe, heel toe. Bring that foot back, shift. I don't know where Sharita went. She disappeared again. Heel toe. And now little or big toe, little toe, or whichever one you want to do first. I tend to do like I read, which is left to right. And I don't want to talk about left and right. Just do one way and then do the other way. After our conversation Friday about mirror image and what's left and what's right in my eyes and y'all's eyes, and it continues to blow my mind. Yeah. Thankfully, we only have two sides, so when you do one-to-one, do it to the other, and bam, you've done it one way or the other. Yeah. So there's our warm-up stretches. Give yourself a little shake, get a drink of water if you need that. We always need water, right? Okay. Commencement. So our first move in our basic 6, it's a step forward. Our hands face each other the whole time. Remember that we can add a little wrist action to the movement by when we bring our hands up, our fingers are more pointed down. When we bring our hands down, they're more pointed up. We finish that U, out, back in, and our hands end with our fingers facing up. Do you have to do that? Do you have to flick the wrists like that? No. You can simply leave them out, down. That whole time they can be facing forward. And then, of course, when you get to the end, you need to push them here because our next move is open and close, and that's our hand placement. But if you want to, I mean, we can all use a little stretch in our wrist, movement in that wrist. So why not? And it doesn't have to be this extreme. It can just be a little bit, a softness in that wrist for it to move as you go through commencement. All right, with those things in mind, let's commence. Bring our hands up, down, shift right. Step left, hands come in and up. Shift left as they go out. Right foot forward, hands come back, open and close. It's just not easy to throw in that second move. Do it again and commence. Hands come up. Down, shift right. Step left, hands come in and up. Shift left as they go out. Right foot forward, hands come back, open and close. Things to remember, we want to keep some room in our armpits in the way we hold our arms out from our bodies as we come up. There's that space versus if my armpits were a little closed, it may look a little bit more like this. Open up those armpits, and it just has that different feel to it. And it doesn't take a lot of effort to open up our armpits and allow that energy to flow, not closing that joint. There is a connection between your hands, the direction of your hands, and the direction of a weight shift. So when those hands go down, at the same time they go down, you're shifting that weight to that right foot. So those two things happen at the same time. And it almost feels like your hands are magic, like they're making that happen, shifting that weight to that leg as they come down. That, because we've shifted the weight to that leg, it frees the other leg up to do what? Step. Step, empty step. Remember in Tai Chi, we place our foot, but we do not immediately give it weight. That's called an empty step. Finish the movement of our hands coming up. Now we're ready to shift weight again, and our hands have that same movement to weight shift connection. Shift the weight forward as the hands go forward. So I want you to really feel that connection between shifting down, hands go down, and shifting forward as those hands go forward. Those two movements will prepare you for our advanced movements, because we do it all in every single move in our advanced movements where the weight shift and the hand movement happens at the same time and goes in the same direction. All right, so commence, up, down, shift weight, step, finish the U, shift as they go forward, right foot forward, hands come back, open and close. So hopefully you're feeling more and more connected to that commencement movement. Up, down, step, finish the U, shift as they go forward, right foot forward, hands come back, open and close. All right, single whip. In our basic 6, we single whip to the right and then wave hands and clouds to the right, open and close in the middle, single whip, wave hands and clouds to the left, and then end with open and close. So that single whip to the right, our hands are here from open and close. We shift left, step out right, adjust weight. There's another opportunity for you to play around with foot placement and where you want to step out to, where you feel most comfortable stepping out to. But remember, when you do step out, it's an empty step. We do not immediately give it weight. So it's shift, step, empty. Now adjust weight. So it's just a second, but it's there. Empty step, adjust weight. So now weight is on both of my legs. And I continue with my hand movement, push my hands out, turn my palms away, and separate. My eyes are following my left hand. So I didn't forget about my right. I made sure to open both palms out. That's the whip part. Because my neck is really sore, you may not have felt the same thing I felt, but that movement following that hand is a neck stretch. So it's another opportunity for your neck to be more mobile. It's the same as what we did in the beginning, where we followed that hand from side to side as we looked towards our shoulder. Essentially the same thing. See, I'm looking towards my shoulder. My hand is just a little bit different. So you'll probably feel another stretch in your neck there. So what we do in warm-ups, they show up in our movements, and that's one for our neck. Single whip. There. Transition movement, we shift left, and I bring my right foot, right hand down. And that gets me ready for waving hands and clouds. Let's do those first three movements together. Commence, up, down, step, shift as my hands go out, right foot forward, hands come back, open, close. Single whip, shift, step, adjust weight, push, turn, separate, following my left hand, shift, bring that right foot, right hand back. Sometimes you may see this movement. Let me say it out loud. This and sink. You may see my elbows go from up to down. It's just a little bit of movement. I don't know if you've noticed it, but I'm bringing it to your attention. And sometimes I may say the word sink. And sink is the period at the end of the movement. You're done with that opening of those hands. You're done with that whip. Sink. You know, it's that period. Sink. Shift. And here. So we're ready for waving hands and clouds. Here's our words. Do how you must, one word at the time, or pair them together. I have started pairing these two together and separating these two. And I know I told you why, but I'll tell you again. But I'm here. I'm going to step and switch. I'm going to turn. And then I shift my weight. I step and switch. Turn. Shift. 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 Step and switch. Turn. Get that ball, bring to the front, open and close. I always think of it as grabbing a ball, whether I say that or not. I end that final turn and then I pull it back to the center. Like there's a magnet on my hands where I'm here and I take, you know how magnets attract, and I just pull it back to center. And you hear me when I use the word pull and push. Those are those words that encourage gentle resistance. So using that word pull brought in a gentle resistance. But if I just turn and then come back to center, that's not wrong. You're still doing the movement correctly, but you're not necessarily practicing gentle resistance. And you don't have to practice gentle resistance every time in all the moves at all the moments, but find your place within our Tai Chi where you feel that gentle resistance is a great place. Even if it's just in your open and close movement. That's a pretty easy one to add gentle resistance because nothing else is really going on. We don't have anything going on with our feet. They're in place, weights on both feet, our hands are facing, and when we open and close, we can pull and push. Pull and push, just like it was an accordion. Pull and push. Even if you only do it with your open and close, find a place where you can practice gentle resistance. That's one of our movement control principles. And that's just utilizing muscles. All right, so waving hands in clouds. We step out. Again, another place to play around with foot placement. You may like your steps a little smaller. I tend to like mine smaller, probably because I'm so short. My legs are very short. I'm not going to be stepping out really big ever. Small step. I'm just walking sideways. An empty step, then a shift. Step empty, then a shift. Step empty, then a shift. So Tai Chi walking sideways is our footwork of waving hands in clouds. Our handwork of waving hands in clouds is much like our spinal stretch, side to side. It's a torso movement. Our hands are just a little bit different. So in waving hands in clouds, I have a hand by my hip and the other hand palm out, cross body, and I turn. I bring it down and this comes up. So there's the switch. Turn, switch, turn, switch. So this looks very robotic. Turn, switch. I'm pretty sure they do this kind of move in one of those breakdancing moves, but I'm not a dancer. I leave that to my daughter. I'm not good at it. It doesn't stop me, but I'm not good at it. But you get the idea. It's very much a robotic move of down, up, turn, down, up, turn. So we want to get the specifics of that movement in our brains of how waving hands in clouds works. And then we want to start practicing to smooth it out. So we're not doing anything with our legs. We're just practicing this hand movement where we turn and switch. Turn. So try to get away from that robotic type movement and make it more of a smooth movement with the change. So it's not sharp. So it's more smooth. And then it feels more circular. Very much more Tai Chi to have it smooth versus robotic. So here I'm just doing the handwork of waving hands in clouds. And I'm really just thinking about what my hands are doing. My body's going with it. My body's going to side, but I'm really just focusing on that slow, smooth, continuous movement of my hands. I'm really not thinking much about my torso or my core. I'm really not engaging my core. It's just my torso's moving side to side. My hands are just going along for the ride, and then I switch when I get to the edge. So having practice in this movement to make it more smooth helps get you there when we start adding feet and core and, all the other things that you have going on. That's how you are a really good learner, is you break it down, learn the pieces of the parts individually, and then start putting them together. And it comes together because you know all the pieces and parts individually. Step and switch. So whenever we step, we get our hands switched. Then we turn. Shift, step and switch. Now remember, I told you you can turn and shift the weight at the same time. Step and switch the same time. Turn and shift, step and switch, turn and shift, step and switch, turn and shift, step and switch. I might be saying the wrong words. Step and switch, turn and shift. There it is. I looked over at my cheat sheet and I said, I don't think those are the words I'm saying. I think I was doing the right thing and saying the wrong thing. Now I've almost come to my table. It is time to go the other way. So practice the step and the switch, the turn and the shift. Why do I do step and switch together, turn, and then shift? Well, it's because I'm really trying to practice engaging my core and helping my muscles in the core of my body and my stomach be stronger. Thinking about the muscles in my stomach pushing my body to the side. So I'm engaging those muscles. I've told y'all about the straw that sticks out of my belly button, and I think about it pointing to that corner, and I'm pushing that straw to where it's pointing over to that corner. So I'm thinking push, there's that word again, that encourages gentle resistance. I'm pushing myself to the side, engaging muscle. But if I don't think push, then I don't engage my muscle as much. So I intentionally think that word as I push and turn. Now, when I'm engaging the muscles in my core, I feel my legs be more grounded. I'm more firm in the thighs of my leg whenever I'm engaging this muscle in my core. And when I'm very firm in the way I'm holding my legs, it's hard for me to also shift. So that's why I started pulling turn by itself so I could engage core and then shifting after the end of the turn so I could engage my core muscle. Do you have to do that? No. There's lots of ways to do this movement, things that you can focus on depending on what you need and want the most help with. I have started this, I'm not going to say obsession, but I am obsessive about most everything I do with my core. And I will tell y'all how many times it translates to me at the gym lifting weights. This morning I had what it was called a bent over row. Okay, so what did I tell myself? All right, upright posture. My feet are shoulder width apart. I have that nice soft bend. My weight is on both legs. All right, I'm going to pick up my weight. So whenever I bent over and grabbed that weight and lifted them up off the ground, so my weight is in my legs, I engage this core muscle and pulled those weights up. If I did not engage the muscles in my stomach and even the ones in my back, what would I have done? Fallen over. Because we talk about this in Tai Chi. When you start leaning, you're going towards falling. But when you do a bent over row in weightlifting, what are you doing? Bending over. So I had to engage my core. So I'm very mindful of that whenever I lift weights. And then I come to Tai Chi class, I'm mindful of it again. And doing it in both instances helps my core get strong. That's just something that I'm focused on. So if you don't want to worry about engaging core, there's nothing wrong with that. Just turning, even if you're not shifting, just turning, shift, you experience benefits of Tai Chi mainly with the reducing stress and anxiety because of the smoothness of that movement. And it's very relaxing. And being able to do two things at once, stepping and switching, turn and shift, that improves your coordination, not just in Tai Chi, but when you do other things as well. So those are benefits of Tai Chi from those movements: improving our balance, improving our coordination, reducing our stress and anxiety, strengthening our muscles. And it can lead to improvement of falls prevention, but we just want to be more mobile. We want to be able to take our bodies in the world and feel safe. We want to take our bodies in the world and be able to do things. And so we can learn all these lessons from Tai Chi. Waving hands in clouds, to me, is a movement you can pull out, do the lower body part, and practice movement control, your body structure, lots of weight shifting as you step to the side, even doing that upper body movement, the circular motion, without you even realizing it. It's almost mesmerizing and relaxing just to have those circular movements with your hands and side to side with your body. And then bam, you put it all together and it's just wonderful. All right, so let's start back from the top, adding that waving hands and clouds in. So here we go, and commence. Up, down, shift right, step, hands come in and up, shift left as they go out, right foot forward, hands come back, open and close. Single whip, shift, step, adjust weight, push, turn, separate, following that left hand, shift left, bring that right foot, right hand in, waving hands and clouds, step and switch, turn and shift. Open and close. Now to the other side, shift right, step left, adjust weight, push, turn, separate, following the right hand, shift right, left hand, left foot back, waving hands and clouds, step and switch, turn, shift. Open and close. Close it out. So I hope you're getting the message that I'm trying to give you, in that you can take Tai Chi everywhere you go and not even be doing these exact movements, but learning the principles of the way we hold our body goes out there with you everywhere. And that was my point of telling you about all that weightlifting and bent over rows, is that what you learn here translates. All right, let's keep practicing. And basic 6, here we go. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Close. Again, commence. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Close. And close it out. Any questions today about these movements? Of course, we're going to keep going over these movements. And but next week we're going to start diving into our advanced 6. Remembering those lessons of our principles, remembering the importance of holding weight on one leg, and its role in helping us be more balanced and less likely to fall. So I don't want you to feel like we're leaving a basic 6 behind without questions. If anything comes up for you, just let me know, and you can ask me next week, or you can ask me midweek. Whatever you need from me, just let me know. So we're giving ourselves a nice fist massage, thanking our legs for working so hard for us, thanking them for taking us places and being able. I'm so thankful for my legs. Creating tension, knowing we don't want to live that way and letting it go. So easy to start holding tension and not even realizing it. Our brains will be so busy, and then our bodies will be holding tension, and only after we get sore and pain do we go, oh man, I wish I wouldn't have kept that tension there. So I'm regretting yesterday. But I mean, I was nervous driving in that rain. I was behind some kind of big truck, and it was just throwing water on me. Or on my car, not me. I was dry. All right, big shoulder circle up and push down. Inhale up. Exhale down. I like this. This is so relaxing. Even not thinking about gentle resistance, just the circular of coming up and down feels so good. Even bringing my knees up a little bit and then squatting down a little bit, you know, not a full squat, but just having that little extra movement in my knees as I go through that movement. It's just such a nice movement. You feel like lifted and airish, and then you feel grounded. It feels good. There, I think we did about 20. But here we take our right fist, and that represents our strength. Our fingers, left fingers together represents our friendship. Our thumb in represents our humility. So strength, friendship, and humility, we got it going on. We put it together, and in mutual respect, we say namaste. So always good to see y'all. I'm just so glad I get to see Gwen and Sharita twice a week.
Sorry I was late this morning.
That's okay. It happens. I'm just glad you came. So y'all don't ever feel like just because you're running a little behind, you can't come into class. Y'all just come on in. I'll be glad when you get here, even if it's for the last 10 minutes.
Okay.
All right. Well, y'all take care. I hope y'all feel extra full of love tomorrow. And if no one else loves you, know I do.
Happy Valentine's. We love you.
Happy
Love
Valentine's
y'all.
Day. Love y'all.
Yeah,
Love
see you
you.
on Friday.
Bye-bye.